Lalit, thank you so much for joining us on BW Wellbeing for our Wellbeing Wednesdays with Harvinder Narula. My first question to you is, how did your life change after retirement? You had a very active working career, but how did your life change post retirement, and what happened in your life that suddenly took you towards altering the choices you made in your lifestyle? And how did you transform your life?
Well, so after retirement, life did not change much. I mean, in the sense that diseases, first of all, I don't know the premise of your question. The diseases that I suffered are not because I retired and changed my lifestyle to a something. It was all happening while I was working. I mean, that's the point to understand, is the disease act happens on a continuum. I mean, something can happen. Somebody can suffer, maybe there is death of a grown-up child or something, or a spouse. That can make things worse. But in my case, after I retired, I traveled a lot, and I decided to build my dream house from where I'm giving this interview. It took me, I took 5 years to design and build and furnish the house. I had two daughters. I got them married. So no, I mean, life was fine. I was having a good time traveling and having fun. But then I told you that January 1st, 2013, my two daughters gave me a Christmas gift. One gave me an Apple TV $99 device that converts dumb TV to an intelligent TV. And second one gave a subscription to Netflix. And on January 1st, we asked them to set us up, and we watched a documentary. The documentary we first watched was called Happy. And that's another interesting story. It compares happiness level of people around the world, something that started about 2 decades ago by Professor Martin Seligman, who was the president of American Institute of Psychology. And he said, we study all psychotic people. How come we don't study healthy people? And that is what led to this happiness survey, in which Denmark and Norway and Sweden and Iceland, they have been coming on the top 4. So that's a documentary we wanted to see. Somebody had suggested. But after seeing that documentary, in those days, there used to come 4 more lines that if you like this, you may like one of these. And there was Forks Over Knives. So that was just by chance that we came across that documentary. And then I changed my diet and lifestyle, and I felt a lot more energetic. I have a about 100-meter walkway from the main road, a driveway, and it is at a 10-12% gradient. And I could not walk up to my house. I would have to stop. While I was building the home in 2006, construction started, and I would stop at least once or twice to cover that distance. And then, the maximum I would walk was about 4 miles. And I would get tired walking 4 miles. And that is, I'm talking when I was 63. And then when I turned 70, I finished half marathon, which is 13.1 miles. And the thing to understand is that you do anti-age, you reverse your age. And in all likelihood, when I was 63, I was probably, my physiological age was probably 75. And I think within 5 years, I probably reversed my age by 20 years, if not more. I felt so energetic. I once you change, the human body was not designed to get tired in a day. You must understand that. We should be able to walk around and work for 12 hours, daytime hours, without feeling tired.
So
So
what?
if one,
So Lalit, what did you change in yourself?
well, so so what you do is very simple. I call it a 5 pillars of health. So number one pillar is food. And food is about half of your health is food alone. And in food, number one, no animal food. So no eggs and no dairy. So we replace dairy with milk like almond milk or soya milk, or we use oat milk. We like oat milk. We make, you can make your own milk. It takes 2 minutes to make. So there are different milks available, which are non-dairy milk. So we got rid of dairy from and eggs and meat from our diet, number one. Number two, you get rid of all refined food. You eat food as it was intended and as we consume for millions of years. So by that, what I mean is that you eat sugar cane. That ganderi they sell you? You should eat ganderi, which is sugar cane, peeled sugar cane, but not sugar. Or you eat peanuts, but not peanut oil. Or you eat bhutta, corn on the cob, not corn oil or high fructose corn syrup or Kellogg corn cereal. Okay, so no refined food. And the third thing is no highly processed food. So corn flakes is highly processed food by Kellogg. In fact, a new study has come according to which cornflakes is not a healthy cereal. It does not meet even that criteria established by US. So don't eat Haldiram Namkeen. I mean, you can eat besan and everything that goes in Haldiram Namkeen, but not Haldiram Namkeen because it is fried. And it is fried in what is called Vanaspati ghee. Vanaspati ghee is hydrogenated fat, what used to be dalda in India. In the food, the worst thing is hydrogenated fat, dalda. And in America, it is called Crisco. This Crisco was a company that used to make candles. To make candle, you have to hydrogenate vegetable oil so that it becomes solid at room temperature, and then you make candles with it. At the turn of the century, 120 years ago, when electricity evolved 150 years ago, but when it became more commonplace, the candle business was overnight run down. And Crisco said what to do, but then they realized that heart disease was coming up, and they said, oh, we must create a vegetable shortening. And we should tell people that tallow and other animal fats are very unhealthy. So we must eat vegetable fat, and Crisco became the #1 selling brand and dalda in India. So that's all we're talking about from the food account. No animal food, no refined food, and no highly processed food. The second factor I call is detoxification, and detoxification is getting rid of toxins from your body. Of course, everybody goes to toilet and washes and takes shower. I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking is your body has dead cells and damaged cells and misfolded proteins. So these need to be eliminated. And the way we used to eliminate them was there would be days when we would not have any food, because as we were evolving, on some days you had food, some days you did not have food. You went to the wrong direction looking for food. You came back by 1 o'clock in the afternoon and there was no food. or whatever, or you ran out of the food in your community and you decided to walk another 50 miles to the next community. And for a day, you did not have food. Maybe people lived in one area for 2 weeks. When they ran out of fruits, they went to the next location. And for a day, they traveled, because within a day travel, you had already harvested all the fruits. So the next stop was more than 1 day's worth of travel. So in 2016, a Nobel Prize was given to Dr. Yoshinori, who found that when we do not get food for a day for 21, 22 hours, our body recycles food. And it recycles all the dead cells, the dead protein cells. I mean, the protein from the dead cells, from the damaged cells, from the misfolded proteins. Because when we make protein, sometimes our body makes a mirror image of a protein. That mirror image cannot function, do the job, so it just sits there. And it needs to be recycled. So when we fast for a day or day and a half, and it turns out that in Indian custom, we have a custom of Ekadashi fast, which we do on 11th day of the moon. Now, 11th day of the moon probably has less to do with it. It's just that we had a lunar calendar and it was easy to remember one particular day of the moon. So they decided on 11th day. So they fast for one full day. So you finish your dinner last night and don't eat anything today and have normal breakfast day after, which is tomorrow. So it becomes a 36-hour fast. And that's what Dr. Yoshinori got Nobel Prize. And it tells you that your body then gets rid of your dead cells, so it rejuvenates itself. And you get younger because you then, after the day after the fast, you create new cells. And I mean, it's a long subject, but I think it'll suffice to say that. So I recommend that you do Ekadashi fast every 2 weeks. And then 2018, Nobel Prize was given to Dr. Honzo, who demonstrated that if you do once or twice a year a 10-day fast, for 10 days, you just take one meal a day, and that meal should be low in protein, then your body gets stressed, it doesn't have protein for 10 days. And in that situation, the body's cells become stronger for survival. Body sacrifices procreation for survival. Every cell in body has two functions. First, it needs to survive. That means it needs to absorb the nutrients and excrete the waste. And then second, it needs to have children. It needs to procreate. So it needs to have sex or procreation. But when there's shortage of food, we do not pay attention to sex. Our total attention is to survival. So sex takes a back seat. So similarly, when for 10 days, we are not getting enough food, procreation takes the back seat. And survival, so causes there's a term they call immunotherapy. Your immunity becomes very strong. So if you are a cancer patient undergoing chemotherapy, which kills your healthy cells also, along with the cancer cells, fasting like this makes your body cells stronger and they do not get killed in that large number. Similarly, when you're undergoing radiation, the radiation kills the cancer cells, but also tends to kill your healthy cells. But when you do a fast, a 10-day fast or a fast like, and then this is identical to what in our cultural heritage has been Navratri fasting. So Dr. Honzo's recommendations map perfectly to Navratri fasting. So these are the two things I picked up very quickly because they match to what is in our culture. being practiced. And I think that is where I got a little edge over my American counterparts, the doctors that I was following, Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn or Dr. Colin Campbell or Dr. John McDougall. They were not so quick to adopt the fasting regimen. So that is, I call that the second pillar. So not only what you eat is important, also the fact that you do not eat on occasions is very important. The third pillar is what we call circadian rhythm. And a Nobel Prize was given in 2017. It just happens, it fell in my lap, 2016, 17, 18 Nobel Prizes. And you can guess that the whole field of physiology is now changing. And they're beginning to realize that we have gone in the wrong direction. Now for financial interest, somehow these Nobel Prizes were never publicized. And that's what I spent a whole week talking about, that the magazines don't cover such information. In fact, there is a planned effort to make sure that these do not get well known. See, nobody benefits when you don't eat. The food industry does not benefit. The doctors don't benefit because all of a sudden you are healing now. They don't want you to get healed. And the pharmaceutical industry does not benefit. So none of these three benefit. And then media only publishes what serves the interest of their clients, which is the food industry and the pharmaceutical industry. So media is not going to do something to hurt their paymasters. So it gets published in some small article here and there. You don't see a cover of Time talking about it, or cover of Newsweek, or whatever Indian magazines are there. I have no idea. Anyway, so the point to understand, and I normally devote the whole week in my course, that circadian rhythm plays a very important role. Every cell in human body has evolved to a 12-hour daytime and 12-hour nighttime life. And each cell releases certain hormones or creates certain hormones. So this 2017 Nobel Prize said that inside each cell, we have the nucleus. And the nucleus produces a protein called period. And they made a short form called PER, P-E-R. So that protein is made during the 12 hours of nighttime. Then in the daytime, and that protein is being made in the nucleus and coming out into the cytoplasm of the cell. And during the daytime, which begins as soon as the sky turns blue in the morning, our cell begins to make a protein called timeless. And they named it TIM. So when TIM protein is made, TIM takes PER and goes back into the nucleus. It neutralizes. So all the PER that were made during 12 hours of nighttime, during 12 hours of daytime, they all get taken back. And that's how the day and night cycle runs. So in this field, of course, we have known about it for some time. The Nobel Prize got given, so it got more attention. But it perfectly matches to what we have a custom called Chauvihar, which is followed by Jaini people. And Jain people say that under Chauvihar guidelines that you should not eat anything for 48 minutes after sunrise. And your first bite or cup of tea or whatever should be 48 minutes after sunrise. And your last bite should be 48 minutes before sunset. Okay. So that's 96 minutes less 12 hours. So when you subtract 96 minutes from 12 hours, you are left with 10 hour, 24 minutes. So according to Chauvihar, you can consume your food in that 10 hour, 24 minute window. Now, this has this 2016 Nobel Prize, and there's a work by an Indian scientist called Dr. Sachin Panda. Sachin Panda is affiliated with Salk Institute, which is part of University of California, San Diego, is all on circadian rhythm. And he has demonstrated that when we eat, and he calls it time restricted feeding, TRF. So TRF and intermittent fasting are really same thing. So when we eat in a narrow eating window and when we fast for the remaining 14 to 16 hours, it does wonders to our body, and our diseases heal. Our body loves it. That's how our body evolved. While we were evolving, we didn't have pantries full of food. We got up in the morning searching for food. Kids and ladies to gather fruits, and maybe men for some small hunt. So we came back probably by 10, 11 o'clock and cooked our big meal and had supper, one big meal, and then a second small meal before it got dark. Obviously, nobody would like to do their washing of dishes in the dark or cooking food in the dark. Even when electricity, just before electricity was invented, people were using candles. The poor people were not using many candles. They didn't have that kind of money to burn oil. So they would finish their kitchen by the time before it got dark, which is, by the time sunset. So they would probably finish their meal before sunset and then do what we call chauka, washing of the dirty dishes and everything. By the time it got dark, and then they hung out in front of some fire they created or whatever for a few hours, and then went to sleep by 9 o'clock or 8:30. So this is how our body evolved. And so Dr. Sachin Panda has demonstrated that our eyes, the retina of our eyes, and this was done actually 20 years ago in 2002, we have a protein cell called melanopsin. And we have about 5,000 protein cells in each retina. And melanopsin cells are sensitive to blue light. So when the sky turns blue, and we used to sleep outside, as soon as the sky turned lighter and blue, the blue light hit our retina. And our retina is connected to hypothalamus. So hypothalamus gets this electrical signal that morning has broken. And we have a master gland in our hypothalamus called pituitary gland. Pituitary gland gives signal to all other glands to start their daily activity. And then the different glands work. So our adrenal glands release cortisol hormone in the morning. So around, of course, the timing will change depending upon the month of the year, but let's say at 6 o'clock, the sky turned blue, your hypothalamus and pituitary gland gives a signal, please release cortisol. Cortisol gets released. Cortisol is a hormone that's a get up and go hormone. It's the one that you want to go out and do things. You want to go to gym, go for a walk, go to the fields and start your farming or whatever. And cortisol remains high throughout the day. When the sky turns dark again, cortisol goes down. And there's a counteracting hormone called melatonin. Melatonin is low throughout the daytime, and in the nighttime, melatonin begins to rise. So cortisol is coming down and melatonin is rising. Now, once melatonin has risen, your body feels drowsy and sleepy, and you go to sleep. Sleep is very important because sleep is where all your short-term memories get converted into long-term memories, just like your computer file. If you have too many folders open, you save all those files. So your cache memory can be released and they can go into hard disk. So that's one activity. The other activity is your brain also needs to detoxify. Your body detoxifies whole day. You have a lymphatic system. And everywhere your blood is going to every cell, from every cell, what is being excreted is being collected by lymphatic system. And it is flowing and it brings it back. And you excrete it. Your body excretes as sweat or as poop or urine, whatever, okay? So the brain does not do that during daytime. The brain is called upon to be active and alert. So when you go through deep sleep cycle, during that deep sleep cycle, the brain does the flushing, and it is like a toilet flush. Brain has concentric blood vessels which have lymphatic fluids on the outside. It releases that, and then the next vessel absorbs it, so it cleans. So your metabolic waste, which is created every day, needs to be cleaned up at the night time. And that needs to happen. When that does not happen, then these metabolic waste, they clump together. And then, like, known as beta amyloid. When beta amyloid, they clump together, they occupy a space which was meant for memory and disrupts memory. And that causes diseases like dementia and Alzheimer's and maybe Parkinson's, okay? So these are the problems which are being caused because our circadian rhythm is not in alignment. So circadian rhythm can go out of alignment, A, because you did not get up at the right time, or your bedroom had heavy drapes. And instead of looking at the blue sky at 6 o'clock, you're looking at the blue sky at 8 o'clock. So your clock is already 2 hours slow. So all your blood cells will start releasing whatever job they were supposed to do, they're running 2 hours behind. Second thing that affects our circadian clock is food consumption. So when you consume food at night time, the body gets confused. It says, gee, I thought it was already dark and I was releasing melatonin and I was reducing cortisol, but this body is eating. Maybe I made a mistake. So it begins to rise cortisol again and lower melatonin again. So if you're having that party dinner at 11 o'clock, your cortisol is rising again and melatonin is going down. No wonder we have sleep issues. 70% of the people in civilized world have sleep problems. We just don't know them. Only when they become very acute, we become aware of them. Otherwise, most people are not aware of them. The third factor is the physical activity. So people go to gym at night because we have tube lights, we have gym as well lit, and they're doing weightlifting at 11 o'clock at night or 10 o'clock at night. The body gets confused. For weightlifting, you need cortisol, you don't need melatonin. Body says, gee, I was releasing melatonin, this guy is working out, pumping iron. I better bring that melatonin down and raise my cortisol. So these are the major factors which affect your circadian rhythm. The blue light And then the other problem is we watch TV, which emits blue light. We work on laptops or computers, which emit blue light. And we have cell phones, which emit blue light. So the blue light is hitting our retina, melanopsin cells, till 11 o'clock at night. So melatonin has not started going up. So these are many factors. That's why we recommend that you should have your mobile phone set up on a blue light filter. Your laptop and computers set up on blue light filter. And now they are changing the lighting, outdoor lighting all over the world. In Western countries, they have become aware of it. And they are changing them to lights which do not emit blue light. And it is going on. These are active projects happening. They're changing street lights in various parts in the Western countries. Anyway, so that was the third pillar of life, which is circadian rhythm. And once you align your circadian rhythm, half the problems go away, even if you have not changed your food habits. And that's what Dr. Sachin Panda has shown, that, and then he did a major study, and then when half the people, about 5,000 people, when they were asked to finish dinner early and not watch TV and go to gym, their blood pressure came down, their blood sugar came down, their cholesterol came down. So almost 50% improvement in their health happened just because of circadian rhythm. So these three factors are very powerful. The fourth pillar is physical activity. And our body was designed to remain physically active because that lymphatic system does not have a pump. So your janitorial system can only function when you are physically mobile. We have lymph glands in underarms, and where our legs join our body. So the body needs to move during daytime for lymphatic system to work. Body also needs to move for our vertebrae to work. Otherwise, we develop backbone problems, and there are many backbone problems that they need to be active. And the intervertebrate disc only gets its nutrition. It does not have any blood vessels supplying it nutrition. It only gets its nutrition from the bone above and bone below through a process which is like a sponge movement. When you compress a sponge, it releases the fluid. When you expand the sponge, it absorbs the fluid from above and below. So when people don't walk enough, they develop, and then they have wrong posture issues, they develop backbone problems, which is very, very common, okay? So physical activity is very important. And then the last pillar is emotional and spiritual health. And they are very important because, we all know that laughter is the best medicine because we have stress in life. And that stress causes our body to suffer. And when you laugh, it reduces the stress. When you give unconditional love, if you have a child you are playing with or a pet dog, and you are loving, giving that pet dog and child love, it flushes your body with happiness hormones, and it improves health. It reduces stress. And then the last item I talk about is the spiritual health. The thing is, again, when you express gratitude, that expression of gratitude causes certain hormones to be released in your body, and they neutralize the stress, and they have a very positive impact on your health. So that you pray is very important. Who you pray to is irrelevant. It could be any person in your life, could be your great-grand uncle or your grandmother or your hockey coach or basketball coach. So if every day you would spend 10 minutes praying, and with a sense of gratitude. The tears need to roll down your eyes. It's very helpful. So these are what I call 5 pillars of health, and that is what one needs to practice.
What I want to know is, what are you doing as LMK as an initiative? I know you have WhatsApp groups. How are you impacting lives on these WhatsApp groups?
So I take a new group on the first of every month. About 7,000 people join. I mean, this is increased to 7,000. And I take them through a 2-month course. So by the time they finish the course, if they are following me, then they should be off medications. Most people, if they follow me, will get off medications by the time the course ends. So this is what I do every month. Then when they finish the course, they are asked to join a regional chapter. So if they're in Delhi, they'll join the Delhi. So we have some 40 regional chapters all over the world. They join a regional group. That way they can ask questions, they can support each other, and share their experiences, share their testimonials and recipes. So this is one activity. The second activity is when I'm giving lectures, and when I'm in India or Singapore or Dubai, so my trip, I gave 55 lectures in the 7-week trip. And then the third thing I'm doing is I'm doing retreats, because one problem with this messaging is that people who do not implement them and only have theoretical knowledge, they feel there's apprehension. How can you cook without oil, and food will not taste good, and I can't live like that, and how can you live without milk in your tea? So we give them actual experience. When they experience it, they live for 5 days, and they get their cup of tea and coffee and all the meals. They say, boy, I can do that. That's easy. So retreats help people overcome their apprehension and actually get a taste of it. And people see benefits. Their blood pressure goes down in 5 days, and their blood sugar goes down. Thirdly, I'm trying to set up an institute in India to teach the teachers. And we are looking at either Hyderabad or Delhi.
So how many lives have you already impacted?
So we have about 75,000 people who have gone through the program, about 325 groups, plus others on, about 350 groups have been created, and they are living in about 46 different countries. Still, majority of them are Indians by origin, Indian diaspora, but there are some Europeans and Americans in this as well.
So you are basically an engineer by training, and you worked on companies which are more on technology-based organizations, and now it's healthcare. How do people start following you and have that conviction on you so that they can take on this journey?
Well, I mean, they all join me by word of mouth. I have no other way of communicating. I just, in my existing groups, I post the next month's link, and they share it with their family and friends. So that's what we are doing. And then when I give talks, I give talk to Navy, I gave talk to Army, and these talks result in formation of a group. So I gave a talk to Power Grid, and we have a group for Power Grid. I gave a talk to Tech Mahindra. We have a Tech Mahindra group. We gave a talk to Bombay Municipal Corporation, which was requested by additional commissioner. And that led to formation of a group of 250 people. I gave a talk to Indian Space Research Organization. And each talk leads to formation of a group with 200, 300 members. And then, well, now the limit has become 500. Earlier on, it used to be 256 for WhatsApp group. And then when that group finishes, then they refer more people. So it's all by word of mouth.
So do they have to pay money to join your group?
No, there's no charge for the group at all. They are free.
Also, you and I were talking and you mentioned that cow milk is actually not good. It's carcinogenic. What is the message that you have for these people who are, putting their children onto the risk?
Well, it is not my message. This message was Dr. Gopalan's message in 1967. Our National Institute of Nutrition, NIN, Hyderabad, is the premier body, and except those situations where you do not have any food available. So if you get lost on your Himalayan trek and there's no food to eat, under those situations, milking a wild buffalo and having that milk would be helpful. But for most people who are city dwellers who have enough food to eat, cow milk is very unhealthy and should be avoided. And actually, you can see the benefits within a week. Cow's milk also causes mucus formation, and it affects your breathing. A lot of people in India have breathing issues, and especially those who live in Delhi, and asthma. These are because of blockages of your bronchi and the mucus formation that causes that bronchi. So, in fact, Dr. Colin Campbell of Cornell says that the protein in cow milk is even worse than protein in lamb or goat or chicken, and definitely much worse than protein in a salmon or freshwater fish. If you must eat meat, then the freshwater fish is the safest meat to eat. And when you eat that meat, make sure that you don't eat other high protein foods. So it would be good to have a tapioca as your second food item to eat. So you can have a salmon with a tapioca khichdi, can make a good meal. I would have no problem with that, because you are having a high protein item with a zero protein.
So do you evangelize vegan food?
No, vegan food can be very unhealthy. The vegan people die at the same rate as vegetarian people, who die at the same rate as non-vegetarian people. The mortality data shows that there's no advantage in terms of their lifespan and mortality. Because as you become from non-vegetarian to vegetarian, you start consuming more milk and oil and sugar. And as you turn from being vegetarian to vegan, you start consuming even more oil and sugar, because food has to be made tasty, and they use oil and sugar to make it tasty. So eating potato chips and drinking Coke is a vegan diet, and I would never recommend that. So if you want to use a word vegan, then you have to call it whole food vegan.
Lalit, thank you so much for joining us all the way from US. I'm sure all the information that you've shared with us will be absolutely useful for each person who watches this interaction. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Okay. Bye-bye.